Today, I am reviewing the Seagate BarraCuda 8TB internal hard drive. If at any time you'd like to explore this product for yourself and grab it at a great price, be sure to check the links below the video. I have been using the Seagate BarraCuda 8TB internal hard drive as my primary bulk storage solution for the past 3 months, and I have some very specific thoughts on whether this is actually the right move for your desktop setup. If you're tired of juggling external drives or constantly deleting old game files to make room for new ones, you have probably stumbled across this drive while browsing for high-capacity storage. It is one of the most visible options on the market, but there is a clear distinction between what this drive is designed to do and what it is definitely not meant for. You can check the links below the video if you want to see the current pricing or explore the technical specifications yourself, but keep listening because the specs do not tell the whole story when it comes to the real-world noise and performance trade-offs. Let us start with the elephant in the room, which is the physical nature of this drive. This is an 8TB mechanical hard drive, not an SSD. When I first pulled this out of the packaging, I was reminded that Seagate ships these in what they call frustration-free packaging, which is essentially just an anti-static bag. You are not getting a fancy retail box, you are not getting mounting screws, and you are definitely not getting a SATA cable. If you are building a new PC from scratch, make sure you have an extra SATA cable and a spare power connector ready to go, or you'll be stuck staring at a drive you cannot plug in. The lack of accessories is a cost-saving measure that I actually appreciate because I have a drawer full of cables, but for a first-time builder, it is a minor annoyance that you should be aware of before you hit the purchase button. Once I got the drive mounted into my case, the first thing I noticed was the acoustic profile. This is a 5,400 RPM drive, which is slower than the traditional 7,200 RPM drives we used to see in performance desktops. The benefit of this lower speed is that it runs cooler and is generally quieter than those high-performance enterprise drives that sound like a jet engine taking off inside your chassis. However, quiet is a relative term. When this drive is spinning up or performing intensive read and write operations, you can definitely hear the clicking and the mechanical seeking noises. If you have a completely silent PC build with high-end fans, you will hear this drive. It is not intrusive enough to ruin a movie or a podcast, but it is certainly not silent. If you are looking for absolute stillness, you might be disappointed, but for most people, the noise level is perfectly acceptable for a secondary storage drive. In terms of performance, we need to be realistic about what 5,400 RPM means in the year 2024. If you're planning to install your operating system or your most demanding AAA games onto this drive, you're going to have a bad time. I tested loading some massive open-world titles, and the initial load times were noticeably longer than what I'm used to on my NVMe boot drive. You will see stuttering in games that rely on constant asset streaming, and your Windows experience will feel sluggish if you try to run your system off this Platters-based storage. This drive is not for your OS. It is not for your active project files if you are a professional video editor. Instead, this drive is a champion of bulk storage. It is perfect for your media library, your photo archives, your document backups, and the massive backlog of games that you want to keep installed but do not play every single day. Once I moved my Steam library to this drive, the initial launch took a few extra seconds, but once the game was loaded into memory, the gameplay was fine. When I ran some file transfer benchmarks, I was getting sustained transfer rates right around that 180 to 190 megabytes per second range, which is exactly what Seagate advertises. For moving large files like 4K video clips or massive folders of raw photos, this speed is perfectly adequate. You are not going to be waiting forever, but you are also not going to be hitting those gigabytes per second speeds that you get with modern solid-state technology. The value proposition here is really about the cost per terabyte. When you look at the price, which you can verify by clicking the links below the video, you are paying a fraction of what you would pay for an 8TB SSD. If you have a massive collection of media that you need to keep accessible without relying on cloud storage or external drives that might get knocked over, this is a very practical solution. Now, let us talk about reliability, which is always the biggest concern with mechanical hard drives. I have had this drive running 24/7 in my secondary rig for several months now, and I have not encountered a single red error or sector issue. That being said, mechanical drives have moving parts, and they do wear out. I always advise people to have a backup strategy. If you are storing precious family photos or critical work documents, do not treat this drive as your only copy. It is a great place to store data, but it should be part of a larger plan that includes an off-site backup or a cloud sync service. I have seen some user reports online about the longevity of these high-capacity mechanical drives, and the truth is that any mechanical drive can fail at any time. The BarraCuda series has been around for a long time, and the technology is mature, which gives me some peace of mind, but I still treat it with the care you should give to any spinning platter drive. Avoid moving your PC while the drive is active, and ensure your case has decent airflow so the drive does not get too hot during long file transfers. Who is this drive actually for? I think it is perfect for the home user who has a large digital footprint. If you are a creator who has terabytes of old footage that you want to keep on hand, or a gamer who refuses to uninstall games because your internet speed is too slow to re-download them, this is the drive for you. It is also a great choice for a home media server build if you are just starting out and do not want to spend a fortune on enterprise-grade NAS drives. The price point is very accessible, and the performance is reliable enough for general tasks. However, if you're a professional who needs instantaneous access to massive file sets, or if you're building a high-end workstation where every millisecond counts, you should look towards solid-state drives or perhaps higher-end enterprise HDD models that are built for constant, heavy-duty server workloads. There are definitely some potential disappointments to prepare for. If you are coming from a system that only uses SSDs, the transition to a mechanical drive will feel like taking a step back in time. You'll hear the drive wake up when you click on a folder that has been idle for a while, and that slight delay can be jarring. Also, if your PC case has poor vibration dampening, you might feel the hum of the drive through your desk. I had to tighten a few screws on my hard drive cage to get rid of a slight rattle, so do not assume that just sliding it in is enough. Make sure it is securely mounted. If you're the type of person who expects absolute silence and instant responsiveness, this drive might feel like a letdown. But if you're the type of person who values capacity and budget over pure speed, it is a workhorse that gets the job done without much fuss. I also want to mention the capacity. 8 terabytes is a lot of space. It is enough to store thousands of high-resolution movies or an almost infinite amount of documents. Having all that space in a single drive letter is incredibly convenient. It simplifies my file management significantly compared to when I was using multiple smaller drives. I can dump everything into one place and not worry about which drive has space left. If you are currently managing a mess of 2 terabyte or 4 terabyte drives, consolidating them onto this single 8 terabyte unit is a great way to clean up your file system and reduce the number of potential points of failure in your PC. As I wrap up my experience with this unit, I feel that it hits a very specific sweet spot in the market. It is not trying to be the fastest drive on the planet, and it is not trying to be a specialized server drive that costs as much as a new graphics card. It is a straightforward, high-capacity internal drive for the everyday user. It is honest about what it is, and it delivers exactly the performance it promises. You can explore the current pricing and check out the technical specs through the links below the video if you want to compare this against other options. Just keep in mind that for this price, you are getting a massive amount of storage, and as long as you understand the limitations of mechanical technology, you will likely be very happy with the purchase. It is a practical, no-nonsense component that solves the problem of running out of space, and in my book, that makes it a solid recommendation for the right kind of user. Just do not forget to buy a SATA cable if you do not have one, and remember to keep a backup of your most important data elsewhere. Mechanical drives are great, but they are not invincible, and having a good backup plan is the best way to ensure you never have a bad day with your storage. Overall, this drive has been a reliable addition to my setup, and it has allowed me to keep all my data consolidated in one place, which has been a major quality of life improvement for my daily digital workflow. If you are on the fence, look at your storage needs, consider the noise and speed trade-offs I mentioned, and you will likely find that this drive fits perfectly into your build.